Good morning. This is Group 7, Environmental Issues. And today I have with me
Trinity Williams,
Nick Hickman,
Layla Jones,
Tanner Rushing,
and this is Kahari Viner. We're talking about global warming today and environmental changes. So,
as well as climate change and all of the following issues.
So with that being said, we have Trin with some information.
In spite of the evidence at hand, climate change remains the toughest, most intractable political issue we as a society have ever faced. It's not to say there hasn't been progress. In the United States, the greenhouse gas emissions have steadily increased since 1990, even though our economy and population has grown.
So yeah, just to build off that, the gases that are in the greenhouse, that cause the greenhouse effect, stay in there for 40 years, minimum. The gases are carbon dioxide, methane, and stuff that just isn't good for our ozone and overall destroy it. Not only does it destroy it, but it also impacts how much heat the earth holds in, because those gases are naturally in there already. But then you add more, so therefore the sun can't escape as well, and that's what's causing the earth to heat up as a whole.
Climate change.
Right.
That's what's causing climate change. With the longer seasons and the hotter temperatures we've reached, we've had heat waves hotter than we've had back in, the 1990s and the 1960s and things.
Yeah, so that stuff is pretty relevant, especially with our everyday lives, because you can go out today is what November, and it feels like summer. So,
and actually, that's pretty crazy you say that, because today we're supposed to experience 2 seasons in one day, being that it's going to reach the record height of 50 or 70 today around noon, but then it's going to decrease down to 40 into 0 degrees by tonight.
and in the area that we're in, we feel it, but we don't even feel what it could possibly be, because we're not even as close to, let's say, the equator.
Right.
And so people in other countries feel these temperature changes
Drastically.
more, than we do.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to also think about the countries along the equator and what are affected most by temperatures that don't have other resources that some countries do. We have houses with air conditioning, and some countries, they live with nature. So the, condition of the environment really affects them.
And that's funny you say that, because even though we are aware of the climate change and the weather itself changing over the lifespan that we've had, we had winters before and stuff like that, but for Georgia, we don't have consistent seasons, but we can tell that climate change is affecting us because of the fact that it's cold in October, and it's following the seasonal pattern that we wouldn't have otherwise. And also, we feel this and we know this, but the people in our political system aren't aware of these things, or they're trying to say that it's not real, or that it's not affecting us, when in actuality we're real life living out the effects. And Joe Biden actually touches base on that in one of his interviews on the news channels, saying that where he was from, that he's immediately affected by the gas emissions in his city, whereas though in other places they're not. And I think that's very important, because the registered voters have started to say that they don't necessarily believe in it, due to our president right now putting out information saying that it's not a thing at all, when in reality.
And to build off that, Trump, how he's close with Russia and stuff. Russia is the 4th largest emission outputter, and they didn't sign the Paris contract to basically save our Earth until September this year.
Yeah.
Literally a few weeks ago, and that just it does have a ripple effect with us Americans, because if him and Trump are so close, they're gonna share common views.
Right. And I also think it's a generational thing too, because 60 years from now, baby boomers won't be here, and most of the political party is ran by baby boomers and Generation X. So, right. So I don't think that their concerns are too much with the future, because days are limited.
It's sad.
It's not just the temperature of the air, it's the temperature in the oceans too.
Exactly.
It's gonna one of the things is gonna bleach coral and kill it, and majority like not majority, but a lot of the world's population relies on the sea for their food.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have famine, and on top of that, with the ocean level heating up, it's also gonna melt the ice that's in the ocean.
Right. It's gonna destroy
which
the
is gonna-
entire food system in general.
Yeah,
The entire.
and flood
It's just a
cities.
circle.
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing about the human psyche in civilization today is we're not threatened by things that aren't affecting us directly or affecting us in the now.
And especially in cultures that industrialized countries, it's definitely because they deal with less on a daily basis, they start to live in their own world and not really,
Right.
look out and see kind of what's going on. And although they may feel like it's not directing them effectively, all global issues affect everyone everywhere.
And that's funny you say that because local and federal officials in the Republican aspect have started to pass climate-related legislation, but they're not calling it climate change legislation or global warming legislation. They're doing things like adopting ordinance like North Carolina did, where they pushed new construction to higher grounds, mentioning flood damage, but not necessarily with sea level rising because they don't want to scare people. They don't want to talk about it directly, but they want to talk about it indirectly. But these, local governments in the Great Plains have enacted green measures where they tend to frame them in terms of saving money and making the air cleaner and not talking specifically about the bigger problem, which is the climate change and global warming, which is causing them to have to move to higher grounds or to enact green measures, which in reality we need to talk about the problem, which goes back to the quote that we put up there, is that we're so in deep in global warming and the negative effects of it that people just don't care anymore.
And that's like when you talk about politics and think about different types of government set up in different countries and how that affects their decisions on climate change, environmental disasters, etc. Because here, even though in the United States there's voting and voices, we're finding a shortage of people to care, as we talked about, the culture. But in other countries where people are directly affected about it, they can't say anything. They can't really do anything for themselves because the political culture is not the same. And we're in a position where we can do something about it, and little is being done.
Yeah, and we're also in a position where we have AC in our houses, and a lot of people in America have homes to stay in, and with record heat waves every single year, we're getting new higher numbers every year that we keep going. People in other countries who don't have a home, who don't have AC or living in like
Poverty.
a shack are gonna start directly
Those
dying
are the
from
people that are going to be
And by
directly
using
affected the
energy
most.
sources to be cooler, we're also putting more
Emitting gas emissions, exactly.
Yeah, because
We're
there's
seeing
still
direct death.
a population of people that live in the hunter
And that goes back to the political
Yeah.
aspect, because Joe Biden, who was born in Scranton, Pennsylvania, talks about how the gas emissions are affecting Delaware and the DMV area specifically greatly. And then we have Trump, who was raised on privilege and who doesn't, who's not from a farming town or from somewhere that would be affected immediately, because he's had that priority or the privilege to have AC and have those type of things that doesn't affect him. And that's why you can tell he doesn't care so much about it, because it never affected him and it never was a priority for him or the people that he cares about, whereas Joe Biden cares more about the people because
that's reflective of our country too.
Exactly.
A lot of people who
individualistic,
are
yes,
the same way.
exactly.
And see, the thing is, in the political aspect, it's not so black and white either, because, this is what you would call, suicidal thinking, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this, even though it's destroying the planet that I live on. So you have to really think what motivates that, and the answer is usually money. So who's benefiting from this?
You're not doing something until somebody dies.
Right.
It's
Who's
big
waiting until somebody
corporations,
dies.
big corp.
Right.
Yeah, and
And
it's
that's where the
profiting.
game starts to get a little dirty,
Yeah.
because you have a lot of these political members who may say one thing to the people, but they're getting money under the table from this corporation.
In the industrial governmental complex we have, because big corporations are funded by the government, although they are not governmental institutions. So it becomes a loop of money